Hey everybody, welcome
Hello.
to Find Your Lady Tribe. You know, Tress, I wanted to talk about this with you today. A lot of women that are in midlife that maybe are approaching an empty nest or something new, or things are just changing in their life, or they're kind of going through that midlife funk and just, want to change some things up, are by choice or by surprise kind of facing divorce at this time in their life. And, one thing that I found was interesting is that a lot of the reason that we see more divorce in the world today is because we are living longer. And at this time in our life, we have so much life left to live. So, but back to the divorce piece, this is really when divorce happens to a woman or she creates it one way or another, I guess we do,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
There are ways to get through it and even end up maintaining a friendship
Absolutely.
with your spouse.
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping we can talk about that today.
I think that would be fantastic. I would love it.
Welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe. I am your host, Brenda Ridgely, author, speaker, and midlife women's coach. This season is dedicated to your midlife mindset, so be sure to subscribe now to be notified of a new episode each week. I am honored to be joined this season by co-host Tressen Bryant of Love and Life Coaching. She is a mindset, trauma, and relationship expert. Join our inner circle to be the first to know about retreats, workshops, events, and receive tribe-building tips. Go to tinyurl.com/Find Your Lady Tribe to join. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be discussing amicable divorce.
So, wow, those words usually I don't hear together very often. What do you mean?
Right? That's right, Brenda. I think a lot of times we have a preconceived notion that divorce is not going to be amicable, that we feel like it's going to be really painful, and we can brace ourselves for that depending on the circumstance. Some divorces aren't going to be amicable. They're not going to be. I think that what I would like to bring up mostly today, though, about amicable divorce is that no matter what the other party is doing, you get to decide to remain amicable within yourself.
Okay.
And that's the key.
And what do you mean, like within yourself? Because you're working with someone else on this, and it's like touchy subjects, money, custody, things, dog, the dog, everything.
Yeah, the house, the cars.
So how do you do
debt.
that with yourself? I mean,
it's a good question, because a lot of the time we get so entangled and intertwined in what the other person is doing, or what they're not doing, or why they're being obstinate, or maybe there's been some infidelity and we're actually dealing with a whole nother person that's involved in the relationship. Or maybe we have attorneys. I mean, there's a million different scenarios where divorce can change your life in a million different ways. However, the thing is that we get to decide, and I truly believe and know and practice myself, is that no matter what's going on outside of me, I get to navigate internally and respond accordingly. And there's a lot of people who would say, I got to tell you, you don't understand. You don't understand my divorce. You just don't. You don't know what I'm going through. Mine's different. But I do understand.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you know. You have some experience with it, or?
I do. You have firsthand experience with it. And, Brenda, I think that's part of the reason why I became a coach in the first place. Early on in my coaching, my main focus was amicable divorce. And the reason being is that I knew that it was a huge source of pain for people. How did I know that? Because I have been divorced myself. When I decided to get divorced, literally it had taken me about 3 years to make that decision. Because I felt like most people that I was abandoning my family. My kids were 5 and 6 years old. I didn't want to leave them so young, wondering and trying to understand what was going on. So I had some fear wrapped around that. I had been a stay-at-home mom for several years, even though I had worked from home doing several different things. it was going to be completely different and new for me to leave our home that we'd been in for so long and go out on my own. And I didn't exactly know what that looked like. So there was a lot of really, oh my gosh, it was
so scary.
It really was. Then I decided for myself, I was like, you know what? That doesn't help me feeling that way. Yes, I'm going to acknowledge it, but I wasn't leaving. Some people leave because they're super angry in that. Now, my case was a little bit different. I left because I was unhappy because I was growing, expanding, and learning, and my spouse was not.
He just kind of thought things were good the way they were.
He thought things were great the way that they were.
And didn't really want to do that extra.
No. Well, the thing is that he didn't see a problem.
Right.
And we would go back and forth, and it turned into several arguments and things like that. And it turned into, of course, as most things do, I'm going to try and make my point, and you're going to try and make yours, and we're both. So I started to learn more and more about amicable divorce. I looked up amicable divorce attorneys.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. And I looked up just the process of it. And I started to want to really understand it. And you know what's interesting is that we can tell ourselves a million different things about how hard something's going to be. But ask yourself this question: have I researched it? Do I even actually know whether it's going to be hard or not?
Yeah.
So what I would say is do yourself a favor. Every situation that we come across in our life has an answer to it if you're searching for it. Don't you believe that?
Yes. Even though it is scary and sometimes we just don't want to go there. You know, it reminds me of when it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a loss that you grieve. And I remember, I mean, it's not the same at all, but I had a business once that I had to close down that I didn't want to, and it broke my heart. I felt like a huge failure. Mm-hmm. And this little old woman came in one day, and she smelled like my late grandmother. Mm-hmm. And she had this perfume on, and I was like, oh. And she said, she touched my arm, and she said, honey, this isn't just a business closing. This is a dream dying.
Right.
And I was like,
right.
Grandma is right.
And that's
Grandma
right.
was speaking to me at that moment, I felt. And
absolutely.
And so the same thing, you have this dream for your life. And of course, when you get married, you know, that's.
Mm-hmm. You do. And the thing is that at that moment, so you can go back and you can go to the past and bring the past in the present moment and go, wow, this is a complete failure. Mm-hmm. Or you can stay present with it in the moment, acknowledge the grief that you feel, acknowledge that you're going in a different direction, but stay right there, stay with it. Don't go into the past and go, wow, nothing's going well at this moment. I mean, experience all of the feels and all of the feelings, but you know, your dream of having a lifelong marriage or a very long-term marriage may be passing away, so to speak. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason for it. And there's a reason why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. And those are the things that you want to acknowledge in the present moment. If we're going too far out in the future, or we're staying too far in the past, we're really going to experience some either total fear or a really big sense of pain and loss. And I will tell you that ultimately, like fast forwarding into where we are now, I know that it was absolutely the right decision to have that amicable divorce and to make a decision for myself. I want this to go smoothly. And so no matter what, I'm going to behave a certain way through the process. Instead of being reactive and explosive, I'm going to be responsive.
Okay. So give me an example of that.
Okay. So somebody comes in, maybe you do have an attorney, maybe you are trying to fill out a document, right? And you're trying to get things figured out, like maybe you have a child care program that you're trying to figure out, and you have, visitation, and you have all of these other things going on. Maybe you have something even more serious. Maybe you had some abuse in the relationship. Maybe you've got it just, you're trying to navigate so many different things with all of these different situations. But the point that I'm trying to make overall, all of this, is that you still, no matter what is going on with you, you always have a choice on how you respond to it.
Yeah.
So if an attorney comes in and says something to you that activates some anger in you, activates something in you that doesn't feel good, pause, take a breath for a moment. We have been trained so often to react very quickly because we feel like we have to be defensive. And that's when the ego and insecurities, maybe you have not been the breadwinner in the family, and now you feel like all of your resources are going to go away. I mean, that's a totally legitimate fear and worry.
Usually the women end up worse off, to be honest. I mean, statistically speaking, it's financially not as whole.
They're starting to change those numbers are starting to change because we're starting to do things in a different way, and people are starting to learn that it isn't the old school, the dad never gets the kids and the mom is financially worse off. I mean, that's really kind of how it used to be.
Right.
So my point is that when you think about what you want, if you really want to feel amicable and you want to feel less pain and you want to feel less fear, all of that begins inside of you and how you're talking to yourself, your daily practice, whether or not you take the moments to sit and meditate and be still, whether you take the time to physically care for your body in a way. I mean, if you're going out and partying or whatever, or you're totally not paying any attention to the piece of paper that you need to fill out, and you keep shoving it away, or you didn't even open the envelope, or you didn't make the appointment with the attorney,
scary stuff.
You are totally just completely checking out on the things that need to be addressed. And I mean, that's a natural thing, but we need to pay attention to those things. There's a reason why we're not wanting to see certain things. So turn within. Have really, really good, amazing self-positive talk. This takes practice and it takes work, Brenda. These things, they don't just come naturally.
No.
But I will tell you, you had mentioned how painful that was when the grandmother had said something to you and in the store. And the thing is that you're going to experience pain regardless. It's going to come in one way or the other. So do you want to continue moving forward and perpetuating the painful experience that you have now that you cannot get resolved? And this is hopefully saying that you've tried to resolve it if that's what your intention is and that's what you want to do. But you're going to continue to experience the pain of staying in something that just does not serve you or doesn't maybe serve your kids if you have children.
It's not who you are anymore.
Oh my gosh, it's not.
Because we all grow. We all become different people.
Have you stayed the same over 20 years?
No. No.
Has your husband?
Yeah, no.
I love that, right? Some people do.
In a good way.
But the thing is that we navigate from day to day, and that's another thing of just the power of the present moment. You know, maybe we've tried, maybe we're trying something new that we've never learned before. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the idea. Everything begins with an idea. Everything. And for every painful thing you're experiencing, there's an exact positive opposite of it in the universe. Up has a down, right? Left has a right. In has an out.
Yeah.
So incomplete has a complete.
Joy and sadness.
Exactly. And so start searching. So it's like I keep saying, Kyle Cease is one of my favorite comedians and life coaches, and he'll go, I just really need to, I really need to get rid of this. I just got to get rid of this cup. I got to get rid of it. Well, where's your focus?
On the cup.
It's on the cup when you're just like, I just got to get rid of this. Well, you can just set it down and turn towards beautiful you. And all of a sudden, here's my focus, right? The cup no longer exists.
Pivot.
You pivot.
Just pivot.
Absolutely.
What you're looking at. So, okay, so we're kind of framing our own mindset and we're making a decision to keep it in the positive as much as possible, take care of ourselves, self-care, and giving ourselves time and grace. How would you suggest that one approach their spouse with the idea of an amicable divorce? Maybe it's their idea to get a divorce. Maybe it's yours. Either way, we could probably broach the subject, right off the bat. I mean, or soon after the shock of it has gotten over.
Well, I think so. You're it's either you that asks for the divorce or it's your spouse that asks for the divorce. And maybe this came to a shock to you. Maybe it came as a shock. Maybe it's totally not. Maybe you've been feeling it for a really, really long time.
Just said, okay, then we're done. I guess that's happened.
Exactly. Seriously. So I lived in our basement for 3 months. And because I literally was clinging to trying to figure things out. But So it wasn't a surprise when we decided to actually do that. But, you know, I would say try to encourage talking with the person, not at them, and also actively listening, right? You've got to remain in a responsive state. And you can do that even when you're upset. Trust me, you can do that even when you're upset. And in fact, you're going to be way more effective if you are responsive in a negative state. There's healthy anger, there's healthy boundaries, all of those things. I'm not saying give those up and just be sweet and nice all the time. That's not how life works. But when you're trying to bring up this subject, it's going to depend on you, and it's going to depend on how you and your spouse, of course, one communicated in the past. Things might be entirely explosive in your house, and you may not be able to bring it up.
Right.
You may have to go through your attorney. But at that point, sit down and write a letter. Write a letter, because your words are going to be on the page. You're going to be able to assess your words before you actually send it. It's like writing an email before you hit the send button.
I love writing letters when it's really important to me to make sure I get my feelings across, and I will reread it and tweak it and I don't press send or give it away until it just feels like it's absolutely what I want to be saying when it comes to people's feelings and all that good stuff.
When it honors you. And what we're talking about here, Brenda, let's just acknowledge the fact that we're talking about healthy. We're not talking about sitting down and writing a letter and telling your spouse how absolutely terrible they are.
No,
that isn't what we're talking about.
Right.
We already have gotten to that point. At this point, we know that there's something not going well.
Yeah.
So you want to say that your intention is to be amicable and literally spell it out. You and I have talked before about Dr. John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Okay,
great book.
It's a fantastic book. And the thing is that he does mention something in that book where he says men need to be spoken to in a very direct manner. You don't want to skirt around the subject. You don't want to kind of be light about it. You want to say, I want a divorce, and my intention is to be fully amicable with you throughout this entire process.
Yeah, no guessing games.
Don't make him guess. Don't.
He should know.
No, he shouldn't know. He shouldn't be able. He can't read your mind. I mean, just be super real, super real. And Brenda, I love what you said about when you're writing something, you're honoring your soul. Right. You're honoring the inside of you. You're honoring, I mean, it's something to put things down that you want a house, you want financial stability, but you really, seriously, if you didn't get the house and you didn't get the financial stability and you didn't get everything that you wanted, I'm here to tell you, you're still going to be okay. And when we can get to that point of surrender and go, wow, if I could do it once, I can do it again.
Yes.
If I can create this once in my life, I can create it again. And actually, I might even be able to create it. Like we said, the self-talk, I might actually be able to create it even 10 times better than what I did for myself this time. I might be able to create it faster. It goes back to affirmations that we talk about all the time. 100%. This is like, how are you talking to yourself? How are you writing the things down in the letter? So another way might just be literally, like I said, depending on how I was able to actually sit down at the table with my spouse and have a conversation and just say, our kids are 5 and 6 years old. When we met each other, there was a reason we got together. And this is literally what I said.
Yeah.
We liked each other.
Yeah.
We spent time riding motorcycles together. We spent time doing all kinds of really cool stuff together. And we helped each other through major amounts of crisis and certain times of our relationship together. We were together 10 years. A lot went on over that 10 years. And I just said, I don't want to lose you as a person in my life of importance and my friend.
Right.
You matter to me, but we are not going in the same direction, and I've got to go where I need to go. But there was a reason we got together in the first place, and I would like to hold on to respect and honoring those reasons, and especially for our children.
I love that you went back to that point in time and as a reminder of your love, because just because you get a divorce doesn't mean you stop loving them either.
Oh no, not even close.
to remind, of, whether it be in your letter or face to face or however you're communicating, it is very much for yourself to communicate effectively and true to yourself, but also letting them know the respect you have for them, and that you really do want the best for them as well, and that doesn't look like us being together anymore. I think if you just approach anytime you have a sticky point and you have these other foundational conversations to fall back on,
you can return to those over and over. It
softens up the conversation.
Absolutely, it can. Here's the thing. When you do that, you're having the ultimate amount of respect for yourself as well.
Yeah.
And that's really keeps going back to turning inward and turning inward and turning inward. And you have to do it repeatedly. It's mastering the moment. You've got to continue to be able to return inward as often as you can, especially when you're feeling triggered or activated about something that's come up. Remove yourself from a situation if it's not the right time to discuss it. We have had people who've gotten divorced who did not even have a spouse to talk to. They didn't even have a person. The person was gone. They didn't even know how to contact the person.
Wow.
Right? So, there's all sorts of scenarios.
Sure.
And the thing is that when you stay in the forward focused side of your brain and the positive and what is possible for you, and you behave with kindness. I want to bring up just one quick more point, because I know we're nearing the end here. If you find yourself that you are feeling large amounts of anger, if you find that you are self-medicating with any type of anything, oversleeping, right? If you're not getting out of bed and you're staying in bed for a long, long time, if you're under the covers, if you are overeating, if you're over drinking, if you're over exercising, it can be a number of many things. If you're on your phone or on your computer or binge watching for a week at a time, those are signs that it might be a good idea to reach out to a coach, right?
Yeah, right.
I want us to be self-aware all the time, and that's the purpose of this entire Miss Midlife, is to be supportive of each other. And you can talk to a coach for free and find out a direction. This is a starting point, Brenda.
Right.
It's a starting point.
Right.
But I do think it's very valid for you to ask yourself the questions, am I handling this right? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Am I handling this right? Am I treating myself well right now? Or am I totally disassociating from it, removing myself from it, and all of those types of things?
And it's probably a good time to check in with your tribe.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
Say, I need your support right now.
Have I ever asked you for support?
A few times. It goes both ways, though.
Exactly.
It goes both ways. So, or let people in on what's going on with you. You don't have to do it alone.
No,
it's not something to be embarrassed about.
Oh my gosh, no.
I mean, more are going through divorce than not, sadly.
You know what?
In America today, and
it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not to contradict, but I don't view it as sad. I view those 10 years and those times, and also the way that we decided to respond. Mm-hmm. Our kids know from both parents that they are more than 100% loved on both sides. Now, here's the weird thing too. We still do stuff together. We went through all of the kids' years of school. We would go to all of their stuff together. We would sit next to each other in the bleachers at the school. You may not be there quite yet, but
he helped you through a health crisis.
He helped me through a major health crisis, right? This is even when the other spouse chose a new partner. So we were able to go and all of us literally be there together in full support of the kids. And the kids knew that that's why we were there. So we would go to family dinners. We would also have just moments together where we would call each other together as a family when the kids were having, maybe if there was an issue that came up that they were having a difficult time navigating. We came together as a whole family and discussed it so that the kids knew that we were on the same page. We also have phone calls with each other, and I will call and say, hey, I'm facing this challenge with one of the kids. What are your thoughts on that? How are you experiencing the same thing? Are you handling it? Instead of going, that person doesn't do the same things in this house, this is how So if you try now, ultimately, that person may not take your view.
Right.
But it goes back to, this is not about the other person. Can we change the world? We can't. We can't change the other person.
I don't know about that, but okay.
But I mean, we
You're
can
right.
change how people respond, right?
Yes.
We are changing the world by thinking this way, by taking full responsibility and beginning from yourself.
Yes. So amicable divorce can be done.
Yes, it can. I'm proof of that.
All right. Well, I envy you for being such a strong person. I just have always been really, really impressed by everything, your strength and wisdom. And thank you for sharing that with Find Your Lady Tribe today.
Thank you so much.
So when three or more gather, we are tribe.